Welcome to the Two Guys Show on the EdReach Network, giving educators a big voice. This is episode number 19 on January 14th, 2014. I am Drew Minnock. I am one of your hosts, like every week, and you can find me on Twitter at TechMinnock, and you can find us on our blog at twoguysandsomeipads.com. And welcome back to our other usual guest, the troublemaker, Brad Wade. Welcome back, buddy.
Hey, thanks, Drew. Hey, I appreciate it. It's nice to be back this week, and I did miss the show and everybody last week. First of all, I'd like to thank Todd for covering for me last week. It was really cool that I can make that kind of phone call and have him step in and cover me. So, Todd, I really appreciate that. Drew, I appreciate you working with Todd, and just, you let me know if things are going to be okay. So I appreciate it, and I'd like to thank everyone in my PLN and all of our viewers and stuff. Got lots of condolences, a lot of great messages. Thank you, everybody. I saw them. I appreciated them, and they helped out during my time down in Alabama for my event that I went down there for our funeral. So thank you, everyone, and it's so nice having you on our show tonight. Thank you for joining us, and I'd like to welcome our guest, our first guest of 2014.
Yes.
This is Michael Medvinsky. He is an awesome teacher. He's doing some crazy cool stuff, and we're going to dig right into the interview with him. A lot of cool technology he does. He's a music teacher, and we got some cool behind-the-scenes stories about how we are all tied together. So Michael, I'd like to say thank you and welcome to the show, my friend.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored to be here. I've listened and watched your show for a while, and learned a lot from you and your guests, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, man. I'll tell you what, we kind of we did connect on Twitter, and it was a while before going back and forth before we were able to meet face to face. But I remember this summer you tweeting saying you had an interview in Bloomfield Hills School District, and we were pumped to hear that, and really pumped to have you in the same district as us now. And I'll tell you what, it's a pretty good district to work for, that's for sure.
Yeah, man, I was just talking to some of my friends today from my previous school district, talking about just the wonderful things that are happening. And, I did find Two Guys and Some iPads well before kind of we met each other or even worked together, and saw the awesome things you were doing, and, connected on Twitter, learned some stuff, and started kind of chatting. And when I found out that I even had an interview in Bloomfield Hills, contacted you guys right away, and I think that it was Drew who got me the job, right?
No, you're killing me, Mike.
Nice. It was me. You're right, Michael. It was me.
I knew that story. This was actually really funny because we were all chatting, and I actually knew one of the guys that was interviewing him and stuff, and he's a good friend of mine, and so we chatted beforehand anyways, and Michael's credentials and personality all stand on his own.
Yeah, you definitely did not need our help.
Thank you.
Very clear about that.
But I got to tell the viewers, this was when I knew how much I was really going to like Michael. Was like, hey, how'd it go? And finally, he's like, I got the job. I'm like, hey, did I help? And and so finally he just goes, okay, yes, you got me the job. I was like, all right, this guy's all right. So,
oh my gosh,
yeah, Michael, it's great to have you in the district, and something a little more unique than that. So why don't you share with our viewers how you and I are even tied to even that much closer?
Well, my children have now come to go to school in Bloomfield Hills. My daughter came in first. My son is coming next year. And when we went to register my daughter for schools, we went to Eastover and registered, and didn't know what teacher she was going to have, and went to the school with Dahlia, and walked into the classroom, and it was Brad's classroom. And so I took a picture of Dahlia in Brad's classroom and put it on Twitter and said, hey, guess who my daughter's teacher is this year? And, it's just been awesome ever since, man. It's been incredible.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing I would like to just get a 1-minute segment in, and because this is this just explains Brad to a T,
Uh-oh.
is curriculum night. Our curriculum night, okay? Our curriculum night in Bloomfield Hills is a big deal where all the parents, they come in at nighttime. It's kind of a chance to meet us. We get to tell a little bit about ourselves, what the year is going to be like, the curriculum. You know, they get to ask questions, whatever, right? Brad, and this is usually like what, Brad, an hour?
Yeah. I mean, an hour tops.
It's about an hour tops. So Brad does his spiel, and all of a sudden, Brad goes on stage, right? He's got the whole table full of AR targets. We're talking Daiquiri, the Element 4D cubes. We're talking Anatomy 4D, Erasmus stuff, Color AR, you name it, Brad had it out. All of a sudden, this is literally like, mine went a little longer, but we have some siblings that are in my class and in Brad's class. She comes down, I have a mom come down to me, she's like, you have to go down to Mr. Wade's class and see. They are still down there. It was like 45 minutes later, I finally make it down there. He must have 40 parents around this table. He could have sold every one of them an iPad. Right there.
I don't even think that some of the parents who were in the room weren't even like parents of kids who were in Brad's class. I mean, there were people like coming in from the hallway.
In my classroom in there.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, we talked a little bit about what the school year was going to be like, and then it turned into like a conference session, and like parents were taking notes, and I mean, it was. I started tweeting stuff like, man, look at all this stuff I'm learning from curriculum night. It was a really exciting night.
Oh man, that is just so funny to me. I just love that.
It's funny, Michael, because obviously I was there and I was doing everything, and when everything slowed down after a couple hours, and I was winding down and going through the Twitter world and the Twitter feed and stuff, it was so funny because I saw Michael's tweet. Michael, I saw him during this little workshop. I see him standing on a chair taking pictures. I'm like, what is going on? Later I see the feed. I see his picture. He's like, Tech Brad Wade's at it again. Is this an AR workshop or both? And it was just, it was, I appreciated it. It was wonderful. I loved it, and you can see where my passion comes from, and I try to deliver that to the kids. And
I mean, let me tell you how lucky I am to have my daughter in your class. I mean, this is, I'm not gonna, give you a big commercial for your classroom, but what I will say is that
don't make Brad's head bigger.
What I will tell you is that, man, Dahlia is so engaged. She's so into going to school. She's loving what she's doing. And she wakes up excited to do things and go to school. So I appreciate you for that.
That's awesome.
Thanks,
and I'll
man.
tell you what, Michael, I'm sure that the students in your class feel the same way, man, because I can just imagine what your classroom is like. So let's kind of jump into that a little bit and just kind of explain to us kind of what your situation is, because your situation is a little bit unique where you got to kind of commute between two different schools based on schedule and everything that you're kind of doing right now.
I teach 4th and 5th grade, and so I work at 2 middle schools. One middle school has 4th and 5th grade. The other middle school only has 5th grade. And so I came from teaching the littles. I taught K-12 in my previous district, but primarily K-6. And so teaching 4th and 5th grade, I can really kind of look at the big picture ideas of learning and these big connections that you can make between content areas. And so I teach music. That's my vehicle for learning. But I'm teaching kids how to learn. I'm teaching kids, how to be problem solvers and how to be thinkers and how to make meaning out of the things that they're doing. So what is a little bit unique about my situation is that I have a music workshop classroom, like we talk about writer's workshop and reader's workshop and math workshop. I have what would be a music workshop, a musician's workshop in the classroom. Cool. So we have this, what our kind of big learning idea would be. In 5th grade right now, we're talking about creating melodies. We're singer-songwriters. We've done some chordal stuff, and now we're talking about melodies. So we'll have like a launch, or what some call a mini lesson, where I might demonstrate, what a melody is. We have what would be like anchor charts or anchor texts. We have anchor music that we look at, with awesome melodies and how composers or how artists create those melodies. I'll demonstrate that for a bit, and the rest of the class is workshop. I mean, kids are working in small collaborative groups, improvising, expressing through sound. I can go and be a conference with individual kids. If I see that this class needs some work in knowing where like the tonic is or home tone or something like that, I can pull small kind of focus groups. I mean, it really is a true workshop model. So that is a little bit different from what some of the kids have had previously, but it's been working out really well. The kids have taken off as singer-songwriters. Right 3 weeks into the school year, we started composing music. That was kind of my formative assessment of where are we as musicians, because I'm new, And so we started composing music on the iPads. We're using GarageBand. The kids are having a good time recording in the microphones, playing the instruments. We started writing songs, and at about that same time, I had gotten in contact with Kevin Honeycutt and happened to land a dinner with Kevin. And so we went out to eat, and we started talking about some things, and he's a musician, and we started talking about the bigger purpose of, we create music to be expressive people. That is the purpose in itself, right? But what are we doing with that? What are we going to do with our music? What's the bigger picture? And I brought that back to the classroom and asked the kids, like, man, we're writing songs. What are we going to do? Oh, can we post them on iTunes? Mm-hmm. Sure. And so I got a TuneCore account, and we kind of produced and recorded the music, put it in, uploaded it, and then we started getting downloads. And so what are we going to do with the money that we're making from iTunes? And came up with a project called Music to Save Music. And so the kids are getting
awesome.
This. Yeah, so they're creating music, they're expressing as musicians, they're uploading it, people are buying it. And then we are doing research to find struggling music programs. We're going to Skype into the classroom, say, hey, this is what we got going on. What can we do to help you? And like, I don't think that the kids are, think we're going to outfit a whole music classroom. But even to help a little bit, you never know.
You never know, man.
Help a little bit and know that we've done something. It's bigger than we are at this point.
Well, that's just it. It is bigger than you guys. And you know what? I'm going to just jump back for a second. You can confirm this. Getting dinner with Kevin Honeycutt's a gold mine, because that guy is absolutely phenomenal. He's a mentor. He's a friend. His thinking is so passionate, so genuine, and just so amazing. I remember talking to you shortly after you had dinner with him, and I talked to Kevin afterwards too. And the funny thing is Kevin didn't know at the time that you and I were connected.
Oh,
it was actually really interesting, because when I was talking with him, he's like, "Oh yeah, I had dinner with this cool cat." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I know that cool cat." It's like, it's just amazing what you're doing. And for those of you who just joined us, we're with Michael Medvinsky, amazing music teacher. And I like it to like this. You're passionate, and you think outside the box in a sense. You think a big picture and how to impact the kids. Mr. Holland's opus in a sense. Here you are. It's not traditional, and that's okay. You have traditional elements, reading music, learning music, playing instruments, but it doesn't stop there. You kind of tie in the big picture. You reach the kids at a certain level, and it's just, it's amazing. And I want to hear more of the story. So it's just, I love what you're doing with the music to save the music.
Absolutely, that is just incredible. And now, kind of, how do you incorporate? Because a lot of times with like arts right now, it's on the chopping block. It seems like and a lot of things. And so, how are you kind of connecting other curricular issues or subjects and matter and things like that? Because it sounds like your classroom, it's not just about music.
No, the core of our classroom is music, and that's how learners express what they understand, is through sound and silence and the organization of those. But it's bigger than that. And what we have in my content area is rooted in tradition. And so we know that music makes you smarter. And people say, oh, well, it's the Mozart effect, and you play Mozart to babies, and then they grow up to be geniuses. And, being in band will help you in your math class, and being in choir is going to help you on your SATs. And, that is the kind of advocacy that people know, and people have come to advocate for their music program, that music makes you smarter in other areas of knowing. or music makes you smarter to become a better test taker to get into college. The way that I have reinvented advocacy is to say, look, we have these overarching ways of knowing. Okay, we have process connections, we have conceptual connections. The same conceptual connection will take you in music and in art and in language arts and in science and in math. You know, I take interdependence as one of these conceptual connections. Okay, it's how things are working together. Separately, they may not work as well. Together, they work well. Interdependence. I would like to just have a quick discussion about the ways that you see interdependence happening in your classrooms, the way that I see interdependence happening in my classroom, and see how we can make these big connections. I can start by saying that when we talk about melody, we have pitch is the sound that goes up and down, and we have rhythm is the sound that is long and short. Without rhythm, if there's no longs and shorts, it's just one sustained sound. That's boring.
Right.
If you have rhythm and no pitch, I can't say that it's boring, but when those two things work together, pitch and rhythm work together, then you have this beautiful thing called a melody. That's interdependence, right?
Yep.
How do you find interdependence happening in your classrooms?
Brad, why don't you start this one off?
Okay. All right. Well, the thing is, and it's funny, Michael, because Dahlia can probably share some of these things with you. You know, when we can tie things together and show how they're connected in real-world learning, the students are a lot more engaged. Really, when we don't do things standalone, or we can say, here's the meaning, and here's why, and here's how they're tied together, then the kids are a lot more interested, they're a lot more engaged. You know, we learn about it in economics. We learn about interdependence in economics. We're going to actually be doing it in our classroom, Michael. We'll be starting end of January, so you'll be hearing about that. It's part of our district assessments that'll be coming up, but it's a great thing to take a look at. The way I look at it is, if you can be genuine about how things tie together in a real-world scenario, then the kids, when they understand that, then like, okay, it's more meaningful now versus like, get out this piece of paper, read it, do this activity, turn it in, you know, with nothing. You know, that, you know, we do a lot of analog learning, and we still have to do some analog learning, but when we tie that together with true meaning and deep understanding of why they're doing that, like your interdependence with the pitch and the rhythm, then they buy in. There's a lot more like, okay, it makes sense now. You give me a reason to understand why it's important and why I'm going to go ahead and look at it. You know, that's one of the things why I know project-based learning is really a hot topic in learning, because you know what? There's so much interdependence in project-based learning. You know, the way you set it up is all that. It's all connected. You put a lot of things together, and the student's like, oh, I get it. This is real life. You know, I know there are adults that are solving problems like this right now. There's a lot of math. There's a lot of science, everything in it, you know, engineering and stuff like that. So, you know, interdependence, you know, I can't do everything like that. And I had this discussion. I have a student teacher this year, and she may be watching. And, Natalie, if you are watching, tweet out that picture of curriculum night, because I know you're one of the ones who tweeted it. But we talked about it today, actually. We talked about today about the meaning, and, you know, we can't do it every time we talk with, you know, creating that deep engagement and factor, because there's other things you just have to do. But when you can do that, like ask Dolly about 1763. She may have already come home and talked to you about that. I don't know, Michael, but that was something we did awesome today, and it just.
Is that the year you were born, Brad?
What did he say?
Is that the year you were born?
Oh, Marty, did you hear that? Marty, seriously, where is Marty? Marty, are you on right now? If you are on right now, I need some love and support, man. I told you.
That was a perfect opportunity for that. Sorry.
that was good. That was good. So all right. So Drew, why don't you just do a little quick on how things are tied together in your classroom?
Well, kind of going with that, building off, you know, the real world connections and connecting things, and how that's how deeper learning, you know, happens, is when the kids are able to learn, to see the content that we're trying to get across to them, and then they're able to relate it to something that they've experienced in their real life, right? And as we've talked about before on our show, is that the very first thing that my students do when they walk in my classroom is they tweet. They do an analog tweet, and they hang it on the with magnetic strips on a part of our classroom. And the ability to kind of build the relationships using those tweets, and to kind of like get a snapshot of kind of what they're thinking or what their world is like at that moment, is great because I could use those tweets after we discuss them at morning meeting and kind of try and relate the daily content to those things that I can see that are going on in their lives, right? So that helps them build that connection and deeper understanding of it. Another thing is that a lot of times what we try and do is if we know somebody or have some sort of connection in a place where we're learning a content like government this year, you know, we were very fortunate enough to Skype and bring into our classroom the spokesperson for the president of the UN, you know, just happened to be related to a student in my classroom, and what they got out of that was just so cool, you know.
Yeah, those opportunities, you know, and I see that on Twitter, Tech Ninja Todd has Olympic athletes who step into their
classroom champions. What a program!
Yes, it just amazing things are happening. You know, when I talk to some of my you know, non-arts colleagues about these kind of interdependence, you know, we talk about like, okay, so they're studying pond life, and I try to help them step back and say, okay, you are studying pond life, but what are you? What is the big idea? Okay, well, we're studying, you know, habitats. Well, you are studying habitats, but you're talking about how the animal is living in a big environment, and without that habitat, that animal doesn't survive, right? This is interdependence. I'm teaching interdependence. You're teaching interdependence. We're all teaching interdependence. I just happen to be doing it through music. You're doing it through science, and you're doing it through economics. And you know what I mean? These are the big pictures.
Well said. Well said.
And that is my that's my reinvention for advocacy when you find arts on the chopping block, is that I help kids like myself understand big ideas through the ways that I interpret the world. Okay? I was the kid who didn't do well in school. But you know what? There was no chance for me to show my understanding through sound. I could not show that I understood interrelationships through sound. I could only do it through these other content areas. Okay? I was always in trouble, didn't think people understood me. Once I understood that I interpret the world through music and really understood that, then I really found myself and knew how I learned, and then I became a much better learner and a much better student. But
don't you think that that's part of you know, something that we really try and do as much as possible is to try and get our students, even at the age that we have them, and try and really kind of get them to understand and to give them multiple platforms to kind of express themselves. So, you know, so obviously every learner is not the same, so we need to give them as many different platforms to express themselves as possible. That way nobody's falling through the cracks, right? So, I mean, it doesn't matter if, let's say that you have a hard time getting your thoughts or your words onto the paper as a writer. Well, now we can use dragon dictation, and we can use other these things, and now, like Kevin Honeycutt says, you know,
they're the calluses, right?
Yeah,
I mean, the calluses of learning.
Stories and writing. It's just writing with your mouth, you know.
Right.
And why is it that this kid has this amazing passion of telling stories, but he has a hard time getting it down on paper? Why are we handicapping him and saying, no, if you can't write it, you can't develop the story, you know? That's right. You know.
And that takes me the same to, you know, kids who you know, may not be concert pianists, but they can still create music on the iPads, and that levels the playing field for them, right? That we have to provide these opportunities to level the playing field. Okay, my wife just walked in, and I have to get my power cable for my computer. It's about to die.
All right.
So better do that. We can't lose you.
Two seconds. I'll be right back.
All right. So I'm gonna jump on this, Drew. I'm gonna tag.
Yeah, jump on it.
This is, you know, like this is, you know, you and I both have our soapboxes. We have a couple different ones, and you know, this is
yeah, we do.
We always talk about. But Drew, you use this phrase a lot. You say, you know, our job is to teach kids to love to learn how to love. The
most important thing we can do.
Absolutely.
It's not even close.
No, and so just kind of stealing from what Michael said and tagging on to what you said, you know what? Every kid is different. Every kid is unique. You made a good point. If a kid has great thoughts in his head, but he struggles with his fine motor skills in writing, why are we punishing him for that? You know what? That's something, a liability he has at this moment. Let's find out it's in his brain. Because, you know, we call it a disability when you've got something here that you can't get out. Well, now, just because you can't get it out with fine motor or with pencil, give him dragon dictation, boom, now it's down. And I mean, we've seen the apps just grow over, the last year, especially with what kids are able to do and get down in assistive technology and everything. I mean, geez, I call it assistive technology in the classroom now, and it's not even for anything with disabilities. We have our iPads at our disposal that we use, and we do everything we can with it. I mean, Drew, this, we have more stuff right now than we know how to manage or even use, and that's why one of our things is what we talk about, what we share with, we use dominantly. We truly use it.
And that's why when we present, Brad, and we talk to people, we don't like going to sessions with 100 great apps or here's 50 great apps. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's like you're going this far deep and a mile wide instead of going, this far wide and a mile deep.
Well,
you're not.
Isn't that how we talk about education too? I mean, it's breadth versus depth, right? Let's talk about 2 apps that are game changing. Let's talk about 3 apps that are game changing. Okay. So when I reinventing some of the things in arts too is where we have to navigate student growth and how to show that. And a lot of my colleagues, including myself, have struggled with, well, how do you show student growth through the arts, right? We're not a pencil and paper kind of people.
Mm-hmm. Right.
When I write music in my classroom, it's not writing music like this. It's creating music, right? So thank you, 2 guys and some iPads and the 2 Guys show for 3-Ring. I've taken 3-Ring into my classroom.
Yes.
Set up.
There you go.
I've set up a way to capture growth in performance, growth in expression, growth in creating, along with getting the students involved in creating the rubrics, digital rubrics in Paper Desk Pro. They're writing right on the iPads, taking screenshots, uploading them to their Ring, right?
Awesome.
So here you have performances from the musicians. You have the rubrics that go along with it, and then guess what happens next? Is a video reflection about their performance, okay? So when you're thinking about showing student growth, I can come to the people who need to see individual student growth and show them somebody's tab in 3-Ring and say, here's where this person was as a singer, songwriter, musician. Here's where this person has come as a singer, songwriter, musician.
Yep.
And it's not a paper and pencil. See, these are those kinds of really deep apps that you're talking about,
And that's one of ours. That has been a game changer, big time.
And I've been screaming 3-Ring from the mountaintops as well in the arts world to create these kind of portfolios for people to show, to collect, these kind of performances. But there are a lot of people who are kind of pushing the boundaries of music technology, and like Barbara Freeman from New York is pushing the boundaries of how to interpret music through technology. Alex Ruthman from the New York University, he has this thing called Music Hack Day, where people come and for one day they hack a program and make it musical, or kind of reinvent the way some things are happening. I'm using Makey in my Makerspace. Also kind of arts infused because it has a lot to do with kind of the interface between sound and your environment. Leap Motion has been really cool. Checking out how that works with the computer and with Scratch and all that kind of stuff. It's really incredible the things that are happening.
Hey,
that's awesome.
I want to shout out, hey, people who are watching, we got a lot of Twitter feed going on. Hey, if you'd like to interact with us, use the hashtag 2GuysShow. We have the hashtag running right now. If you have a question for Michael, you have a question for us, you have a general question about the show, hit us up right now. We want your feedback. We want your interaction. We want your input. We're going to do a couple new things in 2014, get a lot more interactive with you on our show. So hit us up right now. I see the back channel feed and information. Everybody's having great conversations, sharing what we're talking about, the great things Michael is bringing to the show tonight, which is wonderful. But if you have a question for us, hit us up right now. We'd like to get your feedback and basically open the lines up if we're talking about people who are listening to, used to radio shows and stuff like that. So 2 Guys tonight on the EdReach Network with Michael Medvinsky. Michael, let's start getting up on this back end and winding up. I want to make sure that we kind of touch on everything that we talked about pre-show and everything else. We talked about, you know, music to save music. We talked about interdependence. We talked about kind of how you run your workshop model. All amazing things. I want to make sure we don't miss something. Is there something else that you want to make sure we touch on, or we may have forgotten about, or you want to bring up, so we can kind of keep chatting while the stuff information is coming in from everybody?
Yeah, I do want to touch a little bit on Makerspace. That has been kind of a transformative experience for me. And the learners kind of that come. You know, it's an after-school club that I started this year. It's new for me. It's new for the school. It's new for the kids. And it goes along with this kind of like design cycle thinking, where you like imagine and then create and play with it, share it, and then reflect on your things, and then make your design better. And so I started with a non-technological maker experience for the kids, because I really didn't want them to think that Makerspace equals blinky lights.
Yes.
But it really was. It's a way of thinking. It's a way that you design something and imagine it and build it and make it with your hands and your mind and collaborative working. So we started with Kane's Arcade. I showed him a video of Kane's Arcade and kind of what that was. And
Kane's Arcade, if people have not seen that YouTube video, someone tweet that YouTube video out. It is awesome.
It is, you know, it's a 9-year-old or 8 or 9-year-old kid.
I'll see if I can find it while you're talking, because it's so cool.
He was going to work with his dad, and he was in an auto shop where his dad was getting a lot of deliveries, and there's boxes everywhere, and the kid kind of was just hanging out with his dad all summer, not knowing what to do. So we started designing these arcade-style games out of cardboard.
That's right. That's awesome. You're right.
And then it became this this viral phenomenon. People were flying in from out of state, lines down the road for people to play this cardboard video game, right? And so showed the video, and the kids got super excited. And the really cool thing was, lucky for us, we had 8 choirizers delivered to our school at about the same time as we were doing this cardboard challenge. And so we had cardboard stacked to the ceiling. I mean, kids were making, like, this one group made a 2-box car racing game where you actually had to climb into the box.
That's so awesome.
This is insane, right? I mean, this is
what
happens.
We talked about this. I mean, this is just so cool. I love this stuff, and I saw some of your pictures.
This is what happens when you provide opportunities for kids to think and work together, right? I had very little to do with this. At the very end, this group asked me to help support them with, like, how to wire the Makey to make this thing work, because it was brand new to them. So we met on a couple lunches. But you climb into this game. There's a fan that's blowing on you.
Awesome.
There's this disco ball that's illuminating the inside of this box. There's an iPad that is the screen of the game, and you are controlling the game by holding a cardboard steering wheel, touching a piece of tinfoil on the right side to turn right, touching a piece of tinfoil on the left side to go left, and pushing down a cardboard pedal to make this car go.
That's awesome.
The Makey was plugged into a computer that was running the program, but everything was made of cardboard. It was this is it took 3 weeks to design, build, redesign, things like that.
That's not bad. 3 weeks, really. I mean, that's surprisingly quick, in my opinion.
Yep, it was 3 to 4:30 once a week, three sessions.
Wow, awesome.
During arcade night, parents came and played everybody's arcade game, and it was the kids were so proud. The kids, they wanted to show their parents. They wanted to play everybody's game, and it's cardboard, you guys, right? But it's
exactly.
not. But it's not cardboard.
But it's not.
But it's not just cardboard. It's theirs. They've taken complete ownership of their learning, and they've taken complete ownership of their design. It was really cool. And
that's how you build powerful learning, right there. Is when the students are able to take ownership of it. You know.
Yeah.
They just dive right in, and they're so proud of their work, and it's just awesome. You know. I mean, Brad, Michael, I don't know if you know that we do these exhibitions, you know, and you'll get a chance to come to your daughters when 3rd grade happens. But Brad, we had actually talked about, since there's 5 4th grades, doing exhibitions a little bit differently. And one possibility is one exhibition taking like a Kane's arcade approach
Nice.
to it,
Nice.
which was looking into that, and it'd just be kind of a cool way to show the learning, you know, and just how awesome that would be. So if we take that approach, Michael, definitely I'll be picking your brain.
I know we don't have time for this whole side conversation, but people who don't know, visible thinking, it's a whole idea. It's school-wide. Michael,
For our initiative.
It's our initiative. Michael, this will have to be another topic for another time, but I need to put this out in the Twitter world. Michael is one of the national experts, in my opinion, in this area. He is working with Ron Richard on a book. Ron Richard has come in. He has flown in to see Michael. They have done some amazing things. That will be another story for another time. But if there are people out there that want information on visible thinking,
Yes.
We are a visible thinking school. If you want to contact somebody very specifically, contact Michael Medvinsky at MW Medvinsky. He's right up there on his lower third. But Michael, before we wrap up, because we talked about wrapping this up, I do have Terry Eichholtz has a question. She asked about how do you, and we'll just keep this kind of brief, how do you use AR, because we know you do, you're familiar with it, how do you use AR, you know, just to display music, or how do you use it in your classroom?
We've used it quite often to very topically at first to display performances when musicians are not there. So what I've done is have the YouTube video on YouTube, but then have a printout of the screenshot displayed in the room, and then talking about what the composition was about, so that anybody walking through could hold the iPad over with Aurasma, and it will trigger their video going on. Then we took it a step further and started using them as artist reflections. So not only are you listening to their piece of music, but then you also have the artist reflection talking about the process and things like that. And recently, I guest teach a musical theater class as well. And the beginning of the semester, we do these Me Stars, where you.
Yes, I've seen yours. Yep.
Thank you. And so we've augmented these Me Stars with the person who the star is about, talking about themselves and themselves as actors and things like that. So those are just a couple examples.
Your Me Stars, I know you wrote a post about it. Could you share that around again, maybe after the show?
I sure will.
Would you also please tag Drew and myself in it so I can share it?
Yeah, so we can share it out as well.
I will.
So just make sure when you get a chance after the show, you can tweet that out, tag us in it. We will share that around. It's a really cool article about what he did. As we've said, Michael's doing some amazing things in the arts world. It's funny because I look at Michael as kind of like mine and Drew's counterparts in the arts world, and it's great because love your thinking, Michael. You think outside the box. You look at kids as unique individuals. That's my vision as well, and I love that about you because I love what you do for the kids, and I love that you take that perspective. Kids are unique. They all bring something to the table. Whether they feel like they're musically inclined or not is irrelevant. Correct?
That's true. I mean, that's why we're in school. Somebody will say, "Well, Mr. M, I don't know this." Well, that's why we're here. You're here on the continuum, and so we're going to move you from where you are. We meet everybody where they are and help them become further along toward independent musician is where we want them to be.
Right.
And so we got to meet them where they are and move them closer to independence. But everybody's unique and everybody's different, and that's why in any design that we do for an experience in the classroom, you have to have multiple entry levels, multiple entry points. That's why GarageBand is such a cool app, is because some kids who already know how to play the piano can just open the piano and start to put their fingers where they need it to go. People who understand the way they want the piano to sound but don't have that skill set yet can open a smart piano and push one finger down and it plays what they want it to play, right? This is kind of the way that we level the field and have everybody excel and move toward independence at their own pace, while still showing understanding from where they are and where they need to be,
Exactly, and I'd like to just put that in perspective. When I was in school in music, and I know, yes, Drew, it was a long time ago, I knew that was coming. But
I didn't say it, actually.
People were playing harpsichords.
Exactly. So the thing is,
my gosh.
you had to learn how to play an instrument, and you had to learn how to read music, and you know what? You really didn't have many options. And if you were not natural at that, you struggle. I could read the music, but I couldn't transfer it to the instrument very well. And you know what? I was just kind of out of luck. Luckily, you know.
Let me do just say very briefly about reading music. Okay, reading music is or creating with music is much like learning to talk. Right? Babies babble. We experiment with sound. We say words wrong. People say simonin and paschetti and eyebrowses and a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't make sense all the time. But nobody walks around and says, well, that's the wrong way to say it. I mean, we encourage people to say paschetti as long as possible because it's so cute, right? Once we understand how to use language.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Drew.
Once we understand how to use language and we know the letters and we know the words and we know the sounds, then we put letters in front of the kids and say, here's what those letters look like. We already know the sound. Here's what they look like. In music education, it's backwards for some reason. We give them the music first and say, if you don't know what this sounds like, you guys, I'm sorry. You got to learn the letters before you learn the sounds. I take it the other way. We're going to learn the sounds first. We're going to experiment with sound. We're going to create music. You're going to make things happen. And then, oh, by the way, here's what it looks like. And then the kids go, oh, that's what that means? No worries. Now I know what that music means. It's just it's a bit of a backwards approach, but I think it works.
Hey, and you know what? That's what's so awesome about what you're doing is you're taking so many different approaches, to connect to so many kids, and it's just awesome. It really is. It's really powerful stuff.
It is. So
let's jump on let's do Twitter shout-outs first before we dive into Brad's favorite segment. And I'll tell you what, I'm sure Michael's going to be on board for tonight's segment as well for the playlist.
We got a musician in the house tonight. So
all right.
There we go.
Michael's going to love what's on your playlist. So why don't we go Drew, Michael, then me for Twitter shout-outs. And I've got to go get something special for our last segment. I'll be right back.
Wow. Oh, wow. He's gonna get a drum or something. You can just wait and come back with some sort of musical instrument.
Awesome.
From the 1940s or something. We can say that while he's gone, right?
Yeah, right. He's going to get a hurdy-gurdy.
My 3 Twitter shout-outs, and I'll spell out the Twitter handles just so that everyone, and I'll also tweet them out too, so people can follow these amazing people that are doing awesome things. First one's Beth Hollard. I mean, if you guys, or Holland, if you guys do not follow her, you have to follow her. She's a blogger on Edutopia, on Edudemic. She's an ed tech, professional development. She does speaking, and I've connected with her the past week, and she sent me a bunch of links because I have to do a presentation to a community, our parent community, tomorrow on digital citizenship, and I've used a lot of her posts on Edutopia. She's just got some great ways of explaining digital citizenship and kind of how to do it in the classroom, and I've kind of tried to help her a little bit with an AR thing that she's doing right now, and she's an awesome follow. Definitely check her out. It's at BRHOLLAND, Beth Holland. So definitely give her a follow. Second one, I might say his last name wrong. I'm gonna try not to. Andrew P. Markinek. Awesome follow. He also blogs on Edutopia, who I've connected with him, and this last week, and again using some of the ways that he explains digital citizenship with kind of a sports theme with Hoosiers and stuff like that. I just think it's such a cool way to kind of explain digital citizenship and how we kind of have to go about it, teaching it in schools. And his Twitter handle is at ANDYCINEK. And then my third one is Jennifer Gwilt, at Mrs._Gwilt, GWILT. I hope I just stole yours, Brad.
You
Yes.
did, right?
And
Right
she
there.
is new to AR
All right.
and
Yes,
and
you've been
did some
rocking the
funny
Twitter
ways
for
of
the last 2 days.
yeah, she's getting students inspired using augmented reality. I think Erasmus is one of the main ones, and she just how did she say it today? Like the kids won't even put it. Go ahead, Brad. How did she say it?
said a high school. How awesome is it when a high schooler can't even put the iPad down? You know, like even if it's a dirty sock or something, just wouldn't let go of it. Using AR in the classroom, and you know, it's funny. I tweeted, I said, "You've stepped into a larger world. You know, your congratulations. It's great.
Welcome aboard."
And actually, yeah, welcome aboard. It's funny because I said, you know, I was playing on a line from Star Wars. If there's any Star Wars fans out there, Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original Star Wars before Drew was born, he says, you know, when Luke Skywalker says, "I did feel something last time," and Obi-Wan Kenobi says, "You stepped into a much larger world," you know, something like that. And so
you sounded just like him, Brad.
So thank you, Drew. And so I said, you know. Something about the Force. I said, "Oh, oops! The power of the Force." I said, "Oh, wait, oops, sorry, I meant power of augmented reality," because you know that's one of my phrases. But anyway,
right.
Yeah, good shout out. So sorry, go back, keep going.
I'm done. That was my 3. Definitely give them. I'll tweet out their Twitter handles right now, and definitely give them a follow.
Awesome.
All right, so you're up. My turn, and to follow Brad Wade's suit, I will do 3 shout outs to people and 1 shout out to a company, and maybe a couple more shout outs. I think I get 6, right?
if you're counting like I do, Michael, that's about right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, my first shout out is to Joe Guar. He is he's a fantastic music educator and blogger. I think his blog is called The Trombonist's Mouthpiece. He is a teacher from Heartland Consolidated Schools. We are actually, yeah.
Okay.
So actually, we're both traveling to Grand Rapids this weekend for the Michigan Music Conference, and I am presiding over a session that he's leading called Music Tech on a Budget. He also leads Music Ed Chat, which has been really great for me to connect with other music educators and connected with some music educators internationally who are IB, teaching middle school IB in like Dubai, and we've connected classrooms through.
Awesome.
Through EdChat or through Muse EdChat, MUSED chat. It's Monday nights at 8 p.m. Joe Guar. Yesterday was a really great chat night for me, and so I also did Cultures of Learning chat, COL chat. That's Michelle Corbett. She's a
She's awesome.
Yeah, differentiated learning specialist at Schwartz Creek Schools. And
Yep.
Rodney Heatherton, he's an elementary school principal. They that chat just juices me every time. Such amazing people. The thinking is really forward and progressive, and I really encourage people to check that out too. It's COL chat. That's Mondays at 9. I also want to shout out to Scott Watson. He's a music educator from Pennsylvania. Author of a book called Using Technology to Unlock Musical Creativity. I use that book when I teach music technology at OU. We use a chapter out of that on creativity. Really fantastic book. Really fantastic educator and composer. And the company I want to shout out to is Romotive, right? So Drew and I talked a little bit about that.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it's a robot. It's a robot that your iDevice clips into. But what I've done with that is it is telepresence, and so I want to be able to advertise to parents that they can come visit my room via this Romotive robot just by dialing in a number, and they can start driving it around the room, see the kids, see what they're doing. So those are my shout outs.
Awesome. Brad?
Oh, all right, man. I am seeing.
I hope you're reading Terry Eichold's tweet right now and laughing.
Dude, I read it. It was great. Terry, that was hilarious. Well done. It said LOL, Techmanock just stole one of Tech Brad Wade's 15 shout-outs. Left. All right, so, oh, God, that's so funny. Yeah, I got some shout-outs, and my shout-outs, one of the things I love about Twitter, and if you want to talk to me on Twitter, talk to me on Twitter. Tag me, hit me up, let's chat. I always like to talk about people that I've gotten to know through Twitter. Am I the only one on? I hope I'm live. I have lost Michael and Drew.
All right. You're on, don't worry.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good. Okay.
Keep going, dude.
All right. So, I like to tweet out about people who I've met and talked about and have met through Twitter. So, all right, my first one is going to go out to Jeff. He's from Columbus, Ohio. Got to know him through Project Dirty, which I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes. I got some questions for Michael. I know it's been going along too. Wonder how long it's going to be till Brad brings up Project Dirty. There we go. It was 52 minutes.
52 minutes.
All right, so Jeff, and I will tweet this out too, his Twitter handle's at Transformed Hero, and I'll tweet that out. He's just a great guy out of Columbus. Connect with him through Project Dirty, and I think we're going to get a chance to meet up, Drew, when we go down there in a couple weeks. Second one is Kelly. And yes, Kelly, one thing I'm going to mention, her Twitter handle is Kelly, Kelley, 123063. It's almost like a bank account, Kelly.
Oh
really?
my gosh.
Come up with something better. I mean, seriously.
Holy cow.
Only reason I do that is because it's funny. She's actually really funny. She's been tweeting some hilarious things. And then when I told her I was going to give her a shout out, she goes, "What are you going to say? I'm really funny?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to say. You're really funny." So no, she's out west, a little bit in the Midwest. Really cool. She just hit us up in Twitter this week. I know she's watching tonight. Cool stuff. I'm trying to read some of the stuff that's going on right now. So check her out. Cool person. And then, I was going to say Jennifer Gwilt, but Drew took her.
Yes.
So you know what? Just some of the people watching the show tonight. Paul's always around. Ted's always around. Katie Ann did get a cool text a few minutes ago. Drew saw this. Our friend Evan Scher, he's
Former guest.
Former guest. He's like a globetrotter, I swear. He is in London right now. He's like, "Oh, jet lag, I hate it. It's 2 a.m. I'm still up." He said, trying to watch the show, and he texted. He said,
upgrade his Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I know. He's like, "You guys, my Wi-Fi's terrible. I just got a message. I can upgrade it for $10." So, you know what? We'll see how much we mean to you, Evan. Did you upgrade? I mean, we'll find out. But the cool thing is, he texted and said, "I've now watched your show in 4 different countries," which that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool about the power of Twitter and doing all this and having a show. So shout out to all those guys. And you heard me shouting out Marty a little while ago. I shared one of his posts. He had a great article today that he shared. Artie is he was involved with Magic School Bus. He was involved with Indians in the Cupboard. He's got some new stuff going on. His article today, and if you look down on my Twitter feed, I'll try to tweet out again. It was on the ageless learner in a digital world. Fascinating. I love it. It's great perspective. Yep. So check that out.
He followed me today.
Did he?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna retweet it right now.
All right, cool. Yeah, Marty's a friend of the show. Him and Janaya, they are great people, friends of the show, doing some cool stuff. So check them out, follow them, and give them some love. So I tried to keep it short. I think I officially had 3, unofficially I had 9, maybe. All right.
You know what? That is a huge improvement, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Baby steps, right?
Baby steps. You got to walk before you run, right?
Yep. Oh, and by the way, I heard Todd called me out last week. Somebody was saying, "What, Brad, with more than 3 shout-outs?" Todd. So I actually haven't watched the playback yet, but I kind of got the gist of the show from a lot of people. So that's awesome. Sounds like it was a good time. Sounds like I was both supported, loved, and thrown under the bus. So a little bit of everything.
Well, that it's tough love. It's tough love, Brad.
It's all good. It's all good. So all right. So let's move on.
Let's jump into the songs.
Oh man, I cannot wait. I will.
All right. Well, I'm going to be quick because you know how I do like this segment. It is a lot of fun. It's funny, but in our main goal of trying to stick around an hour, which will never happen again.
We're doing it. We're going to be under an hour.
I'm going to go quick then.
Okay.
Imagine Dragons on Top of the World. It's one of their new singles. I've had their CD for a while. Awesome song. Definitely check that one out. One Republic, I Lived, is a great song. Definitely check that one out. And, what was my third one?
I don't know.
Come back to me. I've got 2. Those are my 2, and I'll tweet out the YouTube links as well here in a minute. But, Michael, you go ahead and rock, and I'll come back for a third one.
Okay. Mine, unfortunately, are going to be a little bit more obscure, maybe. But
Love it.
that's where I'm at, right? So my favorite band in the world is Fish. I've seen
Nice.
them, close to probably 50 times. My wife and I met at a Fish show.
Fish.
Nice.
Oh man. Do you
PHSIH,
know
man.
Carl?
Oh, you mean bearded, long-haired Carl that likes fish?
Carl, like Ed Camp Home Carl.
Oh, yeah.
He is one of the biggest Fish fans I think I've ever met.
Oh, man, we got to connect then, because I think I'm the biggest Fish fan you've ever met.
I'm almost positive it's Fish, because when I was out in California, he went up to Washington to see them or something.
Yeah.
LS underscore Carl. You gotta. I'm telling you, someone tweet him. I'm positive of it.
I've traveled to Maine to see them. I've gone many places. So anyway, this is a song called Lizards from the very first Fish show that I went to in 1994. So I'll tweet the YouTube link out to that too. It's a real cool jam. The Postal Service, I love the Postal Service. I like that kind of electronic feel to it. This is Brand New Colony. They haven't put anything out new in a little while, but I still dig them. And I got to get a shout out to Daft Punk. The song I'd like to do is "Lose Yourself to Dance." They do a really nice job of 70s funk with 21st century digital sounds, and I dig that a whole bunch. So Lizards, Fish, Brand New Colony, Postal Service, "Lose Yourself to Dance," Daft Punk, and I'll put those links out as well.
Awesome. Well done. All right, this was something amazing. On my travels, Drew, think back about a show we had a while ago, and we talked about playlists. You're giving me a hard time about the playlist like you do every week, which is great. It's great love. And I said, you know what? I was walking down the street, and I saw somebody with the shirt. It said, hashtag what's on your playlist. That's how popular this show is. Look at this. Two guys show, hashtag what's on your playlist. I was at the I-80 truck stop in Iowa on a rack. Here's the shirt. I bought it, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wait, where's the royalties? Who's getting the royalties for this? Who did this?
Oh my God!
Actually, shout out to my dad at Frank Wade. Awesome.
Oh.
And Drew and Todd and Aaron saw this when I was celebrating Christmas with them. I actually took a picture of the gift because it was actually labeled not to Brad, my son. It was labeled to @TechBradWade from @Frank Wade. So I took a picture of it, and I just thought, how cool is that? Getting love and support from Pops here. So anyways, so great job. That was awesome. Now, I've got a couple minutes. So here are my shout-outs for songs. All right. AJR, I tweeted them last night, so I was giving them some love tonight. AJR, you've probably heard them on 20 on 20 or Hits 1. They took over satellite radio last week. Their song, I'm Ready, hashtag I'm Ready. Oh, my God. One, it's a great song. These are three brothers. The song is hilarious. It's awesome. First time I heard it, my kids flipped out because in it, Drew, do you know who's in the song?
No. Oh.
SpongeBob.
No
SpongeBob is actually in the song. SpongeBob, love SpongeBob.
That's my third song too. Then.
Awesome. SpongeBob is great. So the thing is in the song, SpongeBob says I'm ready on the show, so they put that in there as part of their feed. It's so great. So AJR, I'm Ready. Funny song, great job. Next one is by Cash Cab called Take Me Home. Great song. I love these newer songs on satellite. Another one, John Legend, All of Me. Love that song. It's just a little different, but I love it. And then I just got this suggestion, Dreams by Gabrielle. I haven't heard it yet, but I just got this in the feed. Somebody said check it out, so we'll have to check that out. I'll informally put that on my list. And then, Michael, I have something for you. It is about Project Dirty. I'd like to maybe put you guys together. Michael
cool.
from Project Dirty, they were on the show. They're friends of the show. Actually, I'm probably going to be chatting with them after the show. They're in the studio tonight working on some new music.
Awesome.
But you know, they were on the show, and even Rhett brought up about the canceling of the music programs and arts programs and stuff. So I think it'd be really cool to at least tie you two together, even if it's just for a conversation to say, hey, look what my kids are doing. Music to save music, and you can have some real artists. Maybe they can Skype in or something.
Oh man, mentoring artists for sure.
And these
that would be very cool.
I mean, they were on the show. You know how they can rock it. They're actually great musicians.
Yep.
And great guys. So
they are. They are awesome guys. And congratulations, they just had their show last week, and
yep.
I was sharing out their live link to Skywalker, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great. I was talking with Micah last night. They're working on some gigs out there. We're working on getting them to Michigan. So PLN people in Michigan, let's get them out here. Let's work on the venue. Already looking at some places to get them out here. Love to make that happen. So
absolutely. Well, let's wrap things up.
Let's do it.
You could definitely check out the Two Guys show if you go to edreach.us and /2 guys. You can find us there of all of our shows and the live feeds, the videos. The link to Stitcher. You can download our podcast on Stitcher. Definitely head on over to iTunes, subscribe on iTunes, and leave us comments there too. Also, as always, you can find me on Twitter at TechManock or 2guysandsmipads.com. And, another great show. It was a great way to start the year as our first guest with you, Michael. And, Brad, it was great to have you back this week.
Thanks, man. Michael, why don't you share your contact information, where people can get a hold of you on Twitter, how you prefer to be get a hold of, and website, blog, whatever. Just share all your information so people can get with you.
Yeah, thanks. Twitter's the best way to chat with me as well. It's at MW Medvinsky, MWMEDVINSKY. My blog is Experiencing Life Through Music. That's at mmedvinsky.edublogs.org. And hope to hear from you.
Awesome. Well, Michael, it was great having you a guest on the show. Drew, as always, it's great having you and working with you on a daily basis. I am Brad Wade. You can reach me on Twitter at TechBradWade. You can reach us at 2guyssmipads.com. You can find us on Instagram. Guys, I saw the feeds that we need some more selfie videos.
That was for me.
I know. New phone. I haven't got my Instagram on here yet. For whatever reason, I forgot the password. Just haven't got it yet. So soon, everybody, soon. Hey. Everybody wants more selfie videos for Instagram. Actually, I kind of enjoy doing them, so they're coming. They'll be back hopefully by the end of the week. Oh my gosh, seeing lots of love about Two Guys swag. Drew and I are working on it. Drew has some great stuff. I'm getting some. We're going to see what we can do about getting some Two Guys swag for the show and people who are interested. Great stuff. Thanks again for joining us tonight on the EdReach Network, and thank you to Michael, and thank you to Drew. Have a great night, everyone. Stay connected, everybody, and we will catch up with you soon.
Thanks, everybody.